Hey guys, this is Victor, and today I'm going to do a quick 5-minute version of what is iTeraCare. My longer 30-minute video is out there, so if you want to dive deeper, go into that. I want to get through this in 5 minutes. I'm going to cover 3 things it does. 1, heat. Okay, there's 3 different devices, but they all provide heat. They have different options for heat. And when we use this as therapy, we often call it moxibustion. Okay, this comes from like acupuncture, acupressure. This is not infrared. It's not an infrared device, near infrared, far infrared. No, it's a terahertz gap frequency. But in this case, the heat I'm talking about is not terahertz, not infrared. It's thermal, it's hot air. This is a hot air blower, like a hair dryer, okay? But it is not a hair dryer. It's much more than a hair dryer. And you can see that from people that are already using it and comparing it. So the heat is really cool. There's different settings for the heat adjustments, and you don't even need the heat. And this is also a very important thing, right? So this is just one thing, and some of the devices have options so you don't have to use the heat. So number 1, heat is one of the things you can use from this device. But be careful, don't burn yourself, because yes, it can be too hot. And there are other cautions when using heat, so please read the cautions about heat. I'm not going to go into that here. Okay, so let's move on to number 2, and this is kind of the big one, the terahertz gap frequency. It's a very special, unusual frequency that's very hard to generate, or we haven't been able to generate it cheap. Okay, so we don't know how this is actually produced. It's kept secret. There's a lot of misinformation and confusion because of this. Everyone out there is guessing, including myself, trying to provide conjecture on how are they achieving this? How are they generating this very special terahertz gap frequency between just 1 and 30 terahertz? Okay, so now this is far more impactful than the heat therapy. This is probably where some of the magic is happening, and this is able to structure water and fluids in the body in a very special way. Water structuring is another very complex topic, but terahertz gap frequency can do a special kind of structuring. You can find the research on PubMed or elsewhere to explain that to you in detail. Here, I just want to let you know that's one of the big benefits. It also can trigger repair of DNA, collagen, etc. It doesn't heal every cell in the body. So some of this is there's a lot of marketing hype or just misunderstanding out there. But it does, again, there is science that shows some of these things. It improves the folding performance of certain proteins in your body. So there's a lot going on. This frequency is very special. And I'm going to emphasize a little bit more about this. So again, it's a terahertz gap frequency. We should not say just terahertz when we talk about this device. It's a very specific frequency, and in this case, between 2 and 17 terahertz for this device. The gap is considered between 1 and 30, so anything falling in there is a gap frequency, and that's just a term for convenience. Okay, so again, just to emphasize this, all visible light is terahertz, so there's nothing special about that, right? All infrared therapy is terahertz, so again, that is not this. These are other special frequencies or special wavelengths. We're not talking about that here, okay? The terahertz, and there's other terahertz frequencies that we're talking about to replace X-rays and such because they're non-ionizing, they don't damage us in any way, there's no negative impacts. But we're even below those frequencies, again, into the gap. All right, so you can read this if you want. I'm going to go forward because I'm trying to get this down into 5 minutes. The gap frequency has a subtle and beneficial effect on a lot of our biology. Not everything, it's not the frequency of life or anything like that, but it is pretty exceptional. Once again, here's a chart for you to understand nomenclature, terahertz, trillions, mathematical nomenclature. This is where the frequency falls into. Use this as a reference if you need. Okay, so let's go into the third thing, the unique quartz crystal tube. Everything about this crystal is speculation. It's going to be kept secret, of course. It might be or probably is involved in generating the terahertz gap frequency, actually. Heat has nothing to do with it, or very little. Heat might help a little bit because it's actually just going to enable the crystal to generate a little wider band of frequency. Now, crystals are transducers and converters. You can watch some of my other videos where I talk about that. I'm not going to explain in detail here. There could be layers of nanotechnology on these crystals. We don't know. One thing we do know for sure, crystals in general, they generate scalar energy. And this is probably the most impactful thing from this device. Basically, we are supercharging a very special crystal that is in this device. And I would say that is the most important aspect of the device, this third thing, even more than the terahertz gap frequency. Okay, so a couple more things I'll say. There could also be other beneficial energy signatures imbued into the crystal that are then being relayed to our body. Again, just speculation. I'm just giving you some ideas, some of the possibilities about the crystal. And it might be that the airflow through the crystal is causing friction to generate the terahertz gap frequencies. That's another type of technology we know of. But again, just speculation. So that's the three things: heat, terahertz gap frequency, and the crystal. One more: use positive affirmations when you're using this device. Think positive. Go watch the testimonials. They're just off the charts. Everyone, I can't say everyone, but so many people are being helped. And this is not a medical device. It's a hot air blower. That's it. But it is really empowering the body in some magical ways. So go take a look at it. And of course, once again, my disclaimer: don't listen to anything I say. Just take the knowledge, do your research, talk to your doctors, etc. Good luck.